Hello and welcome
What is up,
to
y'all?
episode 2 of AJ Sports Show. I am your host, and as you can see here, I am a little questionable. A knee injury has stricken me. I did a little squat dance with my legs, and my legs just don't go that way. So I am persevering. I am going to do my best to make sure that the pain that is striking me down just makes me stronger in the long run.
You're a trooper. True trooper.
We're hoping
Now,
for a speedy recovery, my friend.
now I want to, yeah, exactly. I just wanted to also say, I feel like a little rhyme time this afternoon, so I just wanted to say, have other sports shows led you astray? Is that why you're here watching this show with A, J, and A? Now, I might just continue this rhyme time going in the future. If I don't, so be it. But I just wanted to throw that out there because a lot of things rhyme with A, and I could probably do that for like almost every show possible.
Solid. That's solid.
All right.
I like it. A new one every show.
So, if you watched episode 1 with, you know that I am Ace, you know Andrew, and you know Jay. If you don't know them, well, you will. We are AJA. Today we're gonna go over some relevant sports news. We're gonna follow that up with a fantasy segment. We're gonna hop right in though because that is how we do it here on AJA Sports Show. Okay, so. News out of the NFL: J.J. Watt to Arizona. Our homeboy is not our homeboy is joining the Arizona Cardinals on a 2-year, $31 million deal. He is joining an 8-8 team. I know a lot of teams were excited to try to add him to his roster. You know, veteran, crazy, awesome presence in the locker room. I know there was talks about him coming to Buffalo or Green Bay, Cleveland Browns. But yeah, Arizona was kind of a dark horse there. What are your guys' thoughts about J.J. Watt to Arizona?
I definitely didn't see it coming. Especially, I mean, Arizona started hot and they were kind of like the eye candy at the beginning of the season last year. And they didn't have Chandler Jones for the better part of last season, and he's on the opposite side of 30, and J.J. Watt's on the opposite side of 30. You know, it was a little bit surprising. I kind of expected him to end up in Pittsburgh with his brothers.
Absolutely.
So just first reactions, a little bit surprising, but I mean, I see what Arizona, kind of wants to do in keeping pace with the rest of the division.
So I'm going to ask Jay his opinion on this. Cardinals last year were 13 yards allowed, total yards. They allowed 22.9 points a game, which ranked about 12th in the league. As far as like rushing yards allowed, they were 22nd though. Is obviously J.J. Watt brings sacks, but is he going to help improve their rushing yards, their rushing game? Jay?
I think he can. It's not, I mean, he's an amazing player, multiple time defensive MVP. He definitely has that in his bag. PFF rated him last year with an 85.4, which is a little bit above average. When you really look down and dig deep on the interviews he did afterwards, it seemed like this was more of a personal decision than a football decision. I mean, I think Arizona going into this year is the worst team in that division. Matthew Stafford being added to the Rams gives them a boost. The Seahawks are obviously going to be the Seahawks. They're pretty good every year with Russell Wilson. I think people are severely underestimating how good the 49ers are going to be with Jimmy Garoppolo back. George Kittle was on the pine last year. A ton of receivers.
San Francisco probably had 49 players on the usually.
Anybody that was worth anything on the defensive side of the ball did not play last year. D Ford, a little, Kansas City, no bias. One of the best trades that we ever made. I mean, dude has not seen the field the last 2 years. I mean, he did. It is a direct quote from JJ. He said, "It doesn't hurt when I wake up and it's 65 and sunny this morning." So I definitely think that played a factor. Buffalo being one of his last teams in, I would be naive to say that the weather didn't play somewhat of a role in that. And just on the Houston Texans note, 14 months ago, they were beating the Kansas City Chiefs 21-0 in the divisional round of the AFC playoffs. And this is where we are now. Deshaun Watson walked out. DeAndre Hopkins is in Arizona. J.J. Watt's in Arizona. Will Fuller very well may be a free agent. I'm getting animated because it's ridiculous. They didn't franchise him. It doesn't sound like they are. I don't know what's going on there, but that's just looking.
Yeah, he did say today, I believe the news, the little blurb came out that he really wanted to go. Oh my God, why is his name slipping my mind? Arizona's quarterback,
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray. He said Kyler Murray was a big reason why. I mean, yeah, maybe he chatted with him and the feng shui was right, so he made his way to Arizona. But hey, keeping him out of the AFC isn't the worst for our Bills and Chiefs, I guess.
I'm okay with it.
I mean, just out of curiosity from you guys, real quickly, because I think I kind of made it known a little bit. Where does Kyler rank in that division for quarterbacks? Like, I can very easily put him last, if not, I mean, at best third.
I think people would kill you if you put him underneath Jimmy, but I think I'm a Jimmy Garoppolo fan. So.
I was about to say his winning percentage is unbelievable.
His production probably puts him 2 or 3, just because of how much Arizona's offense relies on him.
Right.
Jimmy G has like the potentially the second best rushing offense in the league. So I mean, Jimmy G is efficient potentially in that offense, but not explosive. Right. Kyler has that like explosiveness. But yeah, you're definitely right. I mean, and McVay and the Rams likes to switch it up a lot, so
True.
His quarterback might not. But yeah, I mean, Matthew Stafford, who knows? I mean, he's going to demand the ball and want to push it to whoever he wants to.
Darn right.
Kind of what he did in Detroit.
Absolutely.
All right, so moving on to franchise or demise. So we just going to talk about the franchise tag deadline is coming up next week on the 9th, and a few teams have the opportunity to franchise some of their stars. I'm going to ask you guys between Dak Prescott, Chris Godwin, Kenny Golladay, Allen Robinson, Will Fuller V, Leonard Williams out of New York, and Aaron Jones. Who can you make a case for if they are not re-signed or signed to the franchise tag? Are we seeing a big change to that team's offense or defense next year?
I can go first. Yeah, I'll go first this time. I think it's Dak Prescott, and it's not even a question. We've already seen it last year. Obviously, we know that the quarterback is the most important position in football. In his first 4.5 games last year before getting hurt, he had over 1,800 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, only 3 turnovers, a 99.6 passer rating. I mean, we saw what this offense was with him, and then we saw what they were with Andy Dalton. And people thought Andy Dalton was a serviceable backup, me included. And I mean, he came in and he was okay. But just for comparison, the Dallas offense with Dak versus without Dak. Points per game with Dak, 32.5. Without, 21.1. Yards per game with Dak, 488. Without Dak, 319. Passing yards per game with Dak, 381. Without Dak, 205. So I don't really think it's any type of question here. He would be due $37.7 million this year since they did franchise him last year. That would make him the 3rd most expensive quarterback in the league behind Ben Roethlisberger and Matt Ryan. And just a note on Dak. I mean, I know everybody likes Dak and we want him to get a deal. But he was offered a 5-year, $175 million deal with $110 million guaranteed in July before the season started. So just wanted to put that out there. I mean, I think that Dallas thinks of him as a franchise quarterback. The hesitancy to go up, whether that's in terms of years for him, if he wants more security, or annual salary, which I don't really see a way you can go up and try to remain competitive. Maybe in that terrible division, you can figure it out. But to me, it's Dak Prescott, and it's not relatively close.
Absolutely. What do you think, Andrew? Your mic is muted, sir. Oh, there you go.
I apologize.
That's okay. Yeah, some NSFW stuff over there.
I'm just trying to make sure everyone can hear Johnny. You know, he needs his time in the spotlight.
I'm on board.
Yeah, Dak he was the name that kind of jumped out right away. And all the praise that he gets, I think, is very deserved. I think there's a lot of people who undervalue him, and hopefully whatever contract he signs next will definitely show his true value, because he'll be returning to like a loaded receiving core. But for me, I think I went a little off the script here because I found a little tidbit that kind of made me think like maybe this could be the player that changes the way this organization operates, but I chose Aaron Jones. And Aaron Jones to me is one of the more versatile kind of like running backs in the league that, we talk about him a couple of weeks throughout the year because he has, he goes off for 3 or 4 touchdowns, 2 or 3 times throughout the season. But it's his second successive season going over 1,000 yards rushing and averaging more than 5 yards a carry, which not a lot of running backs in today's NFL, unless you're Derrick Henry, can say. He had a bit of a touchdown regression going from 19 overall touchdowns to 11, but he also played in 2 fewer games. I don't think he would have scored 8 had he played the other 2, but I'm not really concerned about that. What I'm more concerned about is his overall usage. He had barely over 200 carries out of the backfield. And I think that Matt LaFleur could kind of play into his hand more when he's healthy, because I think Jamal Williams and A.J. Dillon, the other running backs on the roster, aren't that great compared to what Aaron Jones can provide. The only reason I was kind of, going back and forth about this is Green Bay's front office has not really shown a lot of, doesn't have a great track record of investing in their skill players. Just ask any Green Bay fan and they're going to be royally upset at how last year's draft transpired, drafting a quarterback to back up Aaron Rodgers after going to the NFC title game and then doing it again this year. But they're the only team in the NFL to not have used the franchise tag from 2011 through 2020. So they haven't used it in a decade. And I think if they're going to use it on somebody, it's going to be Aaron Jones. I think he's really valuable to that team and what they can do. And eventually the clock's going to time out on Aaron Rodgers, and it can't just be Devontae Adams and Rodgers the whole way.
Well, some cheese puns for you. I mean, they don't want to spend the cheddar, so they're not franchising people. I get it.
There you go.
Maybe they're thinking, if I don't franchise Aaron Jones, it might be hit or Swiss. Maybe they think they're Gouda with the backups there, Dillon and Irvin and Williams. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you flip a coin 11 times. One of those times has to be a franchise tag, right?
Right.
I'll quickly just conclude that I don't think Will Fuller leaving and not being franchised is going to make Houston any more demise, because they're already donezo.
Yeah.
Ship sinking, baby.
I can't really make a case for Godwin because they have sufficient wide receiver threats there. They love to throw it to the backups anyways. They go 5 or 6 deep on any given Sunday. I don't know how Detroit's going to be next season. They're rebuilding, and the Giants are, to me, not close with Leonard Williams. I don't think being a factor. So I'll just give it to Allen Robinson. I mean, he does have the ability to be. He is a top 10 wide receiver in the league. He just doesn't. He doesn't always perform that way, and his quarterback being a consistent and not just jumping around and. Maybe even Alex Smith. Alex Smith loves to throw yards. I mean, Alex Smith is very efficient when it comes to passing, even though he's not explosive. So, hey, Alex Smith to Allen Robinson connection next year might be a thing. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do something fun now. Fun for us, hopefully fun for you. We're going to do an all-star game mock draft. I am going to be the judge and jury, and we're not going to execute anybody today.
Man.
We are going to look at the graphic here. Let's add it to our stream. All right, so Johnny Cass, we're going to make you Team LeBron, and Andrew, you're going to be Team Durant.
So I start with LeBron, right? I have to, right?
Yeah, so we'll give it to the old man. Old man will own the first pick. I was gonna make you guys play rock paper scissors, but
yeah.
We'll just have you make the first pick. And you guys have to draft the starred players first. So that'll be that is Giannis. Oh gosh, Antetokounmpo, Bradley Beal, Stephen Curry, Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, Nikola Jokic. Oh man, I love the current NBA, and Kawhi Leonard. Okay, so the first pick, Jay, who do you have?
Let's see. Now, I could go Steph Curry because I really like that dynamic with LeBron.
They've
But I
never-
am not.
They've never been on the same team together, by the
And
way.
we're gonna keep it that way because LeBron dominates him anyway. So, and I have a Steph Curry take that the people are going to love to hear. We'll get to that one day. But my first pick is going to be I'm gonna go with a guy who is very similar to LeBron, but very different in certain ways. And when we're running the fast break, you're in a lot of trouble if you see LeBron James and Giannis Adetokounmpo coming down at the same time. So I'm gonna take Giannis.
Okay, Giannis, got it. What do you have for seconds, Andrew?
He left Steph Curry on the board. I mean, he's like, who else do you want in an All-Star game?
So is Durant choosing his former teammate?
He's choosing the former running mate. He's gonna come in and he's gonna tell him, "Hey, Steph, I need you to bury about 5 threes from the logo. I need you to make these crazy passes." And he's taking Steph Curry and he's plugging him right in the starting lineup.
All right. So you have between Beal. Yeah, you can read. Who's next? Who's next, Jay?
So very tempted to go Bradley Beal. Also tempted to really go with Luka. I'm just worried that it's going to be too many people who are going to need the ball in their hands, and there's going to be so much space on the floor. I need a shooter, so we're going to go with Bradley Beal. We're going to go with Bradley Beal here.
All right, we can dig that. Andrew, who are you taking on the board next? Here's your draft board.
So need a big man.
Top 3 are gone.
Okay, definitely need a big man. I'm gonna go with the Joker here. I love me some Nikola Jokic. I love his ability to pass. I think that could be an added flair. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Nikola Jokic as my second pick.
That's awesome. Jay, you're up. Who do you got?
Okay.
Didn't Jokic just drop like 50th triple double or something?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That was gonna be my pick next. Let's. Joel Embiid's great and everything, but we're watching the All-Star game. Okay, we're not trying to see Joel Embiid. Between Luka and Kyrie, I'm gonna go. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, come on. We're going Luka. I might end up having to take Joel Embiid, which is disastrous, but we're gonna go Luka first.
Well, I mean, this is what happens when you pick first. So, Andrew, Andrew, who do you got next?
I'm gonna take the guy who is gonna attempt to guard LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard. I need that 3. I need that small forward position coming in here to round out the starting lineup. So we're gonna go with Kawhi Leonard, the glove. Sorry, Gary Payton.
Isn't he the claw?
He is the claw.
The claw.
Okay.
Okay.
Darn.
Sorry, Gary Payton and
you
Gary
got your
Payton
name back.
and Gary Payton Jr.
Okay, so now with my pick, do I just go spiteful and make you have to start 2 centers? Because I can easily take Kyrie Irving, and in a pickup game, this is what I want. Because I'll start Giannis at the 5, 4 is LeBron, 3 is Beal, 2 Luka, 1 Kyrie. I'm going Kyrie Irving, and you got to start 2 centers. I'm very sorry.
Hey, Andrew's gonna take it old school, I guess.
It's okay. We got the big man, the return of the big man in 2021. Joel Embiid, come on over to the winning team, baby. Come on over.
All right.
We got size. We got shooting.
I dig it. Okay, so Jay, you have the reserves. You have the full slate to look at here.
I got the full list of reserves. All right. Now, he's hurt, but we got KD in, so we're playing hurt guys. And the chemistry between LeBron and this guy is just off the charts to begin with. So we're going to go or take it to the regular season and go Anthony Davis. I mean, we're going Anthony Davis. That's what we're going to do.
Nothing wrong with that. We're in a best case scenario type of sports show. We like to look at the brighter side of things. Andrew, AD is off the board. Who do you got? There's some heavy talent out there.
There is. There's some. I'm stuck between 2 guys, but I think I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Jason Tatum. Probably go Jason Tatum because no KD. I'm gonna need the replacement for KD in my starting lineup, and I think Tatum is gonna be starting come Sunday.
Hey, Tatum. Isn't Tatum also playing in the 3-point contest before the game?
I think
Not
so.
good.
Or
Not
Jalen Brown.
Oh, is it Jalen Brown? Okay, okay.
Jalen Brown.
I knew there was a green Irish Celtic out there somewhere.
good. Hey, so Asa, I have Devin Booker on my list. He's not on this list, so I'm gonna cross him off of my list because we have AD as him playing. So
Yeah,
I'm just
that's
make sure
fair.
we have
That's
that.
fair.
Cool.
We'll add him to your honorary
love
honorary bench.
Love it. Okay, awesome. So now left again. This is the All-Star game. Like we're trying to show out, and Damian Lillard yanking from the logo is what people want to see. So we're going with Damian Lillard.
Nice.
Next pick there,
I ain't scared.
Mr. Dame Dollar.
I ain't scared because you left James Harden on the board. So give me James Harden. I'll take the beard.
Oh, James Harden tonight had a feel good story coming back to Houston. So he was. I mean, I don't know if this guy cries or not, but he was watching a feel good story about his return to playing in Houston.
Right.
Yeah, former MVP. That's a solid pick. And I mean, last year he probably didn't go 11th overall in this draft. So,
True.
all right, Jay, who do you got next?
I'm gonna go with some size again because we're a little small. A guy who's versatile, can do a lot of things. One of my favorites. We're going Ben Simmons. We're going Ben Simmons next. We're going Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons. All right. Andrew, do you need a list of who's? Do you need a list of who's still remaining? You got this.
No, I got this. We're marking them as we go. Took Ben Simmons. I'm gonna keep the trend going with lefties, and I'm gonna take a young gun. I'm gonna take Zion Williamson. People want to see dunks.
They do.
People want to see dunks. This guy's got one of the highest verts in the league. We're going with Zion, and we're keeping the train rolling with the lefties.
All right. Wow. By all means, you have a nice thick team there, buddy.
We're going.
All right, Jay. All right, Jay. You got next pick.
Paul George. Can keep it short, sweet. Paul George. He's the best remaining player on the board. We're gonna go Paul George.
Got it.
Interesting. Sure. I'm left with some interesting decisions. I'll go with a smaller guy. I need some some speed. I'll go with Donovan Mitchell here.
Okay.
No.
He just got I don't know if you guys caught it, but he just got ejected from his game today.
He's resting up for the All-Star game.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if he smacks that a ball into the hoop the way he smacked that water cooler on his way after his ejection today, that's a solid pick.
It's over.
All right, Jay, you are on the board.
All right, so this is gonna be more of a chemistry thing, and you got to schmooze LeBron a little bit. So not my favorite guy in the world here, but we're gonna give him his buddy CP3. Yes, CP3. He likes him some CP3, so we'll give him on the same team there.
He's an honorary member of the Banana Boat. Right? All right, Andrew. Someone under the age of 40. Who's next? I'm just kidding.
Johnny knows this and how much I rode the former young Laker core. So I'm gonna give the first time All-Star some love and go ahead and take Julius Randle off the board. Another lefty. Got 3 of them now.
Yeah. And for the people at home, we will get into it one day, and Andrew will explain himself as to what happened with that young Laker core and a gentleman who's on the screen right now, LeBron James, deciding to come, and what take Andrew had, because we're all about having opens here. We're gonna be a free flowing show where we tell the truth, right? And we'll get into that one day when we got time. But just forewarn that Lakers core, very very big for Mr. Andres over there.
We promise.
With that being
promise,
said,
we'll put all of it out there.
Exactly. Yes. So I'm going to take a big man, but I'm going to take somebody maybe off the reservation a little bit. Not touching Rudy Gobert with a 10-foot pole. Domantas Sabonis is one of my favorite guys over there in Indiana. So we're going to take Sabonis.
Okay.
I can't believe you said his name like that.
That's his name.
Oh man, all right. Following that up, I need to take a couple smaller guys. So we took Donovan Mitchell, then Julius Randle. We'll go with another 2 guard. I'll take Zach LaVine, another dunker.
Zach LaVine's a good pick, man.
Well, you were the one that said Paul George was the best player on the board, and here you are.
Oh no,
Still the best player on the board.
You also took CP3 and
For my boy Bron.
for your boy Bron. I had it in my notes in all caps. Do not take CP3.
He'll make someone fall. You know what I'm saying? Like he does some stuff.
Maybe.
Okay, so who do we have on the board left? We have Jaylen Brown, Rudy Gobert,
Jaylen Brown, Rudy Gobert, and Nikola Vucevic is who I have.
Mm-hmm. That's who I have as well.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
All right. So Nikola Vucevic. I don't like Jaylen Brown or Rudy Gobert. So Nikola Vucevic.
Gotcha.
And
Andrew?
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of Rudy Gobert either. I'll just take the guy who's disguised as a me character. I'll take Jaylen Brown.
Okay. And is it? Oh, we already did we already draft Tatum?
Yeah, I got Tatum.
Yep.
Okay.
I think we're good. I think we just leave Rudy Gobert out because we're at an odd number because we took out Devin Booker because Devin Booker I think should be on this list.
Gotcha.
Because right now all that's left is Rudy Gobert. So.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, TNT. That's TNT for you. I mean, I did grab a.
They're too busy making jokes, and Shaq's too busy trying to be a funny guy. They're not, buttoned up over it.
He made his debut on AEW Wrestling today.
Oh God.
So, okay, so let's look at these teams real quick. Tell me if I missed anybody here. Jay, we have Giannis, Beal, Luka, Kyrie, AD, Dame, Ben Simmons, Paul George III, CP3, and Nikola. Am I missing anybody?
Sabonis.
Yep. And then Andrew, you have Curry, Jokic, Kawhi, Embiid, Tatum, Harden, Zion, Don Mitchell, Jay Randall, Levine, and Jaylen Brown.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Oh, my team is way better.
Well, if I had to pick, I'm looking at MVPs on both sides. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at small starting lineup versus a stacked, large and in charge lineup. If I had to pick who has more to prove, so I feel like Beal, Luka, Dame are going to come in and have some fun. Simmons and Simmons too probably coming in that bunch. So I see 4 people come in trying to show out, and then I see Jokic likes to play around. Embiid just, I mean, I don't know how well he's going to do, but he feels like he has something to prove this year. And I'm looking at Zion. I mean, Zion is a rising star. He, Don Mitchell, Randall is his first All-Star appearance. Levine, is this his first? I can't remember.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And
been in the dunk contest, but this is his first All-Star game appearance.
Okay, so I'm gonna give it to the person, and I think because the main reason is I think they're just gonna have a little bit more fun, and their best player is not injured. But I'm gonna give it to Jay. And also because to honor our late great Kobe Bryant.
Listen, man.
The whole 24 point in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Scenario. I will give it to LeBron James, channeled through Jay, and just slightly give it to. I mean, it's going to be a good game.
That was close. I liked your team, man. Great job.
Okay, so we're at the 30-minute mark. We're at a pretty good spot here. I just wanted to ask you guys real quick before we move on. What are your thoughts about doing everything on Sunday. So I know the draft happens before, but do you guys like the fact that they do the pregame 3 point contest, dunk contest at halftime, and just then playing the game? What are you guys thoughts about that? Instead of, I think back in the day we used to watch it over across 2 different days, right?
It was across the whole weekend. Like
Yeah, yeah.
Friday used to be like the skills challenge, and then Saturday was like the dunk contest and 3 point contest, and then Sunday was the game. I mean, again, we kind of touched on it in the first show. I don't see the reason to have one in the beginning. So I guess if you're gonna do it on one day, get it over with, and get those guys out of there. They don't even have the second half of the schedule released yet. I mean, I just feel like this was a time where you could give them some honorable mentions, told people, hey, these were the all-stars, and let's keep it moving, dude. Give them some time off. The number one priority should be finishing the season. So I guess if you're going to have it on one day, do it on one day and get them out. But then, on the flip side, if it's for one day, why even bother? So, in my opinion, it's fine that it's on one day.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you have any thoughts about? Do you if it wasn't okay? Let's preface it to say if we weren't in the middle of one of the worst viruses to hit the world, Andrew, and this was just a normal NBA weekend, would you like this to be adopted next year, as well as continuing the question of doing it on one day? But do you also like the idea of them keeping this new format?
I think if it's possible to keep it the old way, I prefer the old way because I kind of enjoy. I don't know how anybody else enjoys it, but I enjoy watching like the stars who are going to be playing on Sunday, watching and kind of adding to the environment of the dunk contest and the 3 point contest, and it kind of like sometimes you get like kind of a bit of a dud dunk contest, but if you see like in past years you see James Harden and Dwayne Wade and LeBron and people on the sideline, it kind of makes it a little more enjoyable. So I would prefer if in a normal year to go back to the old way, but this is like Johnny said, this is just touching on more of what we talked about. This is just kind of like get it all over with in one day and let's wrap it up. I just want my boys to get some rest and make sure everyone stays healthy so we can actually finish the season. So
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between, it was a slow news day today, so there wasn't a lot to choose from. I did want to pay some homage to my two partners in crime, and it's the off season for them. If they have the chance to like get all giddy about a Kansas City Chief, I'll give it to them. Only because they didn't win 2 in a row. So if they had won two in a
We
row,
lost the Super Bowl. Yeah, we lost the Super Bowl. So
come on.
so because they had a little sour taste in their mouth at the end of the season, so did I. I wanted to just talk about Tyreek Hill. We're gonna just briefly show a clip here. Obviously, he is phenomenal, like athletically gifted. So we're gonna show something he did today, and then I'll get Andrew's thoughts on it, and maybe I'll share a few words. But okay, so 5'5". I mean, I don't know. Am I taller? Am I tall?
5'10".
Am I taller than him? Oh, okay, I'm a little taller than him. Okay, okay. All right. Okay, so Chiefs fans, do you care that he's playing basketball during the offseason as kind of a sidebar? But also, my question was: is this more of a badassery from Tyreek, or are you just on the field as like he's just the best and you'll never get anything better than that?
I mean, I don't love the idea of him playing basketball, but I guess when you post clips like that doing windmill like tomahawks, I mean, you can't really say, hey, don't do that. Especially not when during the regular season he's mossing 3 Texan defenders and catching a ball for 50 yards and at the front of the end zone. So I mean, he's just a freak athlete, man. He's so cool to watch. He's so fun. He's I don't know. I would call him the best wide receiver in the NFL, but like I'm not gonna make that.
No bias.
Yeah, no bias, no bias. I'm not gonna make that claim just yet. But I just man, that guy is crazy. What he's able to do, dude.
I mean, they do call him Tyreek.
Mhm.
And then one thing we're going to set straight here is there's athletes and then there's athletes. You know what I'm saying? 3 syllables. And Tyreek Hill is an athlete. Homeboy just does a little bit of everything. He's fast. He's athletic. He can jump. If you see his jumper, you keep watching the video. Good form. Nice high release. Not bringing it up. Nice. I mean, just real nice stuff. I mean, he did have over 1,200 receiving yards and 17 total touchdowns in the last regular season. So, yeah, it's pretty darn good. But.
Someone on the Mother Network, or I think it was SportsCenter or maybe First Take today, said his jump shot looked a little bit presidential. Looked like Barack Obama. And, I mean, Barack Obama, 44th president of the United States, had a hell of a jumper. You know,
yeah,
a little nod to that. I thought was funny. Okay, so freak athlete, love the guy. I mean, I hate when we play against him as a Buffalo Bills fan, but I mean, I think it's okay to you can. I was just walking around my neighborhood and you know I'm questionable to return to normal activities for a few days. I mean, I think it's mostly harmless. You know, if you live in the real world, anything could happen anytime. Shoot, so ball out, Cheetah. Put some more wear and tear on your bones, just a little bit. So
now.
Okay, all right.
Hey now, I see what you're doing.
Okay, so yeah, again, slow news day. So there wasn't a whole lot going on. There was some stuff that came out of the post Tiger Woods car accident. The sheriff's wants to look at the black box, and but yeah, pretty much a slow day. Some baseball news, but nothing to really shout and like have some good real discussion about. Want to thank you guys for watching the show so far. If you haven't already, like and subscribe below. We are a new channel, so obviously everything has a footprint and helps us grow and helps us keep at this, and we appreciate you guys sticking with us for this first half. We're going to transition to the fantasy segment for this next part. We're going to do our first buy or sell. It's going to be the NFL postseason edition. So I asked these guys to give me some of their thoughts about just a little bit of this, a little bit of that, in no particular order, because Carson Wentz is not probably something you would lead off with, but Carson Wentz, the new Indianapolis Colts, behind a beautiful offensive line. Are we looking at rostering him in fantasy next year? Do you buy or sell him as a starter, maybe even as QB2? I mean, unless you're not drafting a QB and just waiting for the waiver wire, or in DFS, maybe Jay can talk about DFS. But to put it into perspective, and then I'll let you guys talk about it. His predecessor, Philip Rivers, threw 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions last year. He could barely throw the ball over 50 yards, though. So, I mean, he did his best. He threw 543 times, which is a good amount for connecting on 369 of them for 4,169 yards. So, I mean, we had several 4,000-yard QB passers this last year, but I mean, hey, in his last season, Rivers he did well. Doggone it, or whatever he says, dig-gun it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have Andrew go first. What are you buy or sell Carson Wentz?
I'm buying him, but I'm hoping to get it at a discount. And the only reason I say I'm hoping to get it as a discount is it's been a couple years since he had his real breakout year. I still think he can get to that, because when you look at it just in terms of arm talent, he's probably like top 10 in the NFL, maybe even higher on the list on there. His arm talent is pretty freakish, and he's going over back to Frank Reich, and something that Johnny's been thinking about, I'm sure too. Frank Reich was that offensive coordinator in Philadelphia when not only did they win the Super Bowl, he was there when Carson Wentz was having his MVP season. So he'll get to go over there, and like Ace, you mentioned. The offensive line is a thing of wonder and a thing he hasn't seen yet in Philly. The only question mark is to replace Anthony Costanzo, who just recently retired after the end of the season. But other than that, I mean, Quentin Nelson is an absolute hoss in the middle of that line. You can't really find a better offensive lineman than him in the trenches nowadays. And, he's going over to a roster that also has, decent receiving talent. And I expect them to even address that further in heavy wide receiver drafts. So I'm buying Carson Wentz. Quarterbacks don't normally come very early in drafts unless they're, like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen and
Lamar
like
Jackson,
Lamar Jackson. Especially guys who could use their legs. So I wouldn't expect to get Carson maybe to like the 6th or 7th round, but I'm buying Carson. I like the guy. I think he's a solid quarterback, and I think he could really reinvent himself in Indianapolis.
Okay, before I let you respond, Jay, let me know from not just a fantasy weekly league perspective, but is Carson Wentz ever going to end up on your DFS lineup as well? So buy or sell, and then DFS buy or sell?
Yeah, so for DFS, it's going to really depend on the price, which is pretty much what is the predominant factor when you're going to be choosing players anyway, besides, obviously the environment of the game. But if you're going to get Carson Wentz and he's going to come into the season under $6,000, depending on the matchup, that's somebody that I'd be willing to take a flyer on in terms of tournaments. Carson Wentz as a fantasy player in general, in that 2017 season, he had 13 games with Frank Reich. He had over 3,200 passing yards, 33 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. We talked about that Colts O-line a little bit. It's ranked 7th by Pro Football Focus last year, and that was with a down year. Quentin Nelson is the best interior lineman in the National Football League. He may be the best lineman in the National Football League, but definitely interior lineman. T.Y. Hilton is a free agent. There have been rumblings that he's going to come back. The Colts want him back. They view him as a legacy player. Jim Irsay? Was it Jim Irsay, right? Jim Irsay said that. And currently right now, when you're looking at it was Fantasy Pros, he's ranked as the QB 21. He's behind Daniel Jones. He's behind Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield, and he's behind Big Ben. I would take him over every single one of those guys. The upside for him is way higher than for any of these guys. I don't know, just Daniel Jones real quick. What has he done? Like, I can't fathom it.
He ran off like 3 or 4 solid games for a starter last year, but I mean, you're playing in the NFL. If you don't put up a full seasons of work, which Carson Wentz has showed he can do.
Right.
I think you could probably, if Carson Wentz played the whole season and maybe had his coaching staff kind of not, hanging the forbidden fruit of, am I going to start next week? Am I going to start this week?
Right.
Of, Jalen Hurts being in the rearview mirror. I think maybe he probably would have been better ranked on Fantasy Pros than Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones had a couple of okay games. For what it's worth, I mean, Philadelphia last season didn't necessarily rely on just Carson Wentz to win them games. I mean, they had Miles Sanders, who's a pretty good running back, to also help that their offense go. I mean, New York Giants. I mean, they lost after they lost Saquon. I mean, Saquon's out. I mean, that whole offense kind of shuddered after that.
Saquon.
Saquon. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Saquad.
Yeah, Saquad. Yep.
Oh, quads for days. Okay, so it looks like you're both buying then.
Yes.
I don't see anything wrong with that. Personally, I probably would buy as well. I like a comeback story too. Okay, so I probably put too much Kansas City Chiefs content in one show. We're probably already at the barometer of where we need to be for these two to be happy in one day. But we'll just keep it going. Okay.
Not possible.
I probably am gonna just to hear these two going, I'm gonna buy, and they're probably not wrong. I mean,
Right.
Travis Kelce, since his maybe his second year in the league. I think his first year was he just played a game, and maybe the second year it was just a couple. So maybe his third year, I think that was like 2015 or something. I mean, he's just been the piece de resistance. He's opening up a bag of Doritos and just taking that first chip by like Travis Kelce is tasty to have on your roster. He's also going to cost you a first or second round pick. So keeping that in mind with players you guys can maybe discuss, but like Waller and Kittle out there, are we taking Travis Kelce? Are we buying him, or are we selling for the field? How about you go first, Jay?
So, not taking Travis Kelce, considering what he's done the last few years, would be very, very not smart, is the term I'll use. So, when you're looking at it from last year's perspective, and this is just unbelievable, he finished with 312 fantasy points in 15 games. That's a 21 point per game average. The next closest was Darren Waller, who you mentioned, who had 278 in 16. So that's about 40, almost 50 points less, and a 4 point average below. The third was Robert Tonyan, who had 176. He almost had 150 more points than the third tight end, and he played 16 games. So I definitely can see what you're saying about Darren Waller. I really like Pitts as well, coming out of Florida. I think he can really be a guy who's going to shine, especially fantasy-wise. He's really more of a receiver than a tight end. I mean, he's being comped to Tony Gonzalez and Travis Kelce. He's currently number 1 on Fantasy Pros for tight end, which is extremely warranted. Again, the only other names that you can really fit in there are Waller, George Kittle, and then to a lesser extent, because he doesn't get the consistency that those other 3 guys do, Mark Andrews. And when you're talking about a guy who, I know it'll be a first or second round pick, but when you're talking about a guy who, if you're playing, 15 weeks and season long, 13 weeks, you can just bank on it that your tight end spot is going to score more than your opponent. You can be a little more flexible elsewhere. So I think Travis Kelce is 100% worth taking the shot on. I don't think there was a question. So like, just because we're Tiger got brought up a little bit, like it was Tiger or the field for a little bit there, and it would be egregious if you didn't take Tiger. And I think this is like one of those scenarios. He's that on that kind of pace, and he's that kind of production, game in and game out.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that 100%. He is pretty great. I mean, I personally drafted him with my second round pick last year in the one league that I did last year, and I won my league. So thank you, Travis Kelce.
Oh boy.
all right, Andrew. Who do you got, bud?
Yeah, surprise, surprise, baby. We're buying Travis Kelce all day long and twice on Sundays. Let me tell you something about Travis Kelce. He's not just a tight end, and that's the crazy thing. Like his peak is, and I don't want to be sacrilegious to the guys out there like who are going to be the Gronk homers, but his peak is so far greater than like even a guy like Robert Gronkowski, like in terms of the production that he's putting up. That like it would be almost like if he's there for you and you can take him, like you said in the second round. Then I'm taking him in a heartbeat. He's going to be 32 by midseason.
This is how surprised I am that these two bought Travis Kelce. Okay, sorry, just to let you keep going, Andrew.
He'll be 32, so I guess if you want to like wonder if age is going to play a factor, I guess so. But like you mentioned earlier, he's only missed 2 games since he missed the entirety of his rookie season, basically. And those 2 games that he missed were only because they were resting starters for the playoffs. So he's going to be there. He's durable. And just one little more factor before we move on. He's not only the most productive tight end, he's the only player in the NFL in the last 5 seasons to have over 1,000 yards receiving in every year, in all 5 years. So, and that puts him at the 4th most receiving yards of any player in that span as well. So, I mean, he completely reinvented the position, and it's going to be hard for guys like Kittle and Kittle, Waller, and even Tonyan. Should have made the Pro Bowl, Tonyan, to catch up. But yeah, I'm buying all day Travis Kelce.
Touchdown Tonyan was huge this last year. Jay, just real quick, do you play Kelce a lot in DFS?
In stacks mostly. Tight end is a place where, especially in cash, because I mostly play cash games. I'm always looking for value, not because he doesn't have that upside to really take you over the top, but again, in cash, I'm looking for value any way I can. And the 3 spots I don't pay down are my 3 running back spots in cash. So very few times will I be paying up in cash, but in Patrick Mahomes stacks, you absolutely need to have him. So
absolutely. Okay, so we're gonna pivot to Jonathon Taylor, number 1 running back, 2021. Keeping in mind he played 1 game less than Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook, but put up An 1,000-yard season, 11 touchdowns. New QB in town. What are we thinking? Buy or sell? Is this too early for him to be a number one running back? Jay?
So I personally think he's worth being a number one running back. I mean, number one running back, that's top 10, right? You think it's a top 10 pick. If you're going with a 10-team league, which is standard. He was the RB6 last year, and that was with Naheem Hines vulturing him multiple times and causing my DFS lineup to go absolutely down the dumpster. The biggest question from him last year was pass catching. Coming out of Wisconsin, it was something we didn't see him do a whole lot. And with check down Phillip Rivers, he saw a few opportunities last year. He had 39 targets. He caught 36 of them. So he only had 3 that were not completed, which is great. 12 total touchdowns. You mentioned the 11 rushing, over 1,100 rushing yards, a 5 yards per carry average.
Which is the same as Dalvin Cook, just a hair shy of 2,000-yard rusher Derrick Henry.
Right. No, I mean he's unbelievable and definitely worth a top 10 pick, especially in 10-team leagues. So I think he's definitely RB1.
Andrew, is Carson Wentz coming to town to ruin Jonathon Taylor's success of rookie season?
No, I don't personally think so. I think like Frank Reich is gonna, he has a running back, and back in Philly when Carson was the starter for him, it was more of a running back by committee with like guys like Corey Clement and other things like that. And now that he has like a solidified number one back who can do a little bit of everything in Jonathon Taylor, I think that he's gonna really solidify himself as a top 10 running back here. Like Johnny mentioned, he wasn't really known for his pass catching out of the backfield from college, but his 8-yard reception average is kind of encouraging. So as long as we can bank on Naheem Hines not taking away from any of his production, like the midseason lull that he ran into last year, then I 100% would love taking Jonathon Taylor as probably, like, if not my first running back taken, depending on what my draft position is, my second running back taken if he's still there.
Yeah. Aaron Jones, David Montgomery, James Robinson, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, Lamar Jackson, and Melvin Gordon III are all the yards on the list of just most yards last year rushing, and I would take Jonathon Taylor over all of those in a heartbeat, and I probably would take him over Dalvin Cook as well. It's a coin flip for me for Derrick Henry. Episode 1 talked about Justin Jefferson and how I think he's going to flop this season. And not because I don't root for the guy, but because all good things must come to an end. And I'm saying that about this guy, and it's only his second year. Buy or sell. We're gonna have another Justin Jefferson this season. So to kind of talk about that, we have the draft about to happen. So who are you guys buying in the draft this year that might be Justin Jefferson 2.0?
For me, I'm excited to, Devontae Smith's going to be in this draft, so you have the Heisman winner coming out. A guy we didn't see last year, though, is the one that I'm really going to buy. It's kind of hard to replicate the success that Justin Jefferson had last year to amass 1,400 receiving yards and breaking all the Vikings, regular rookie records. But Jamar Chase is just a guy that caught my eye. And he's a receiver from LSU. Unfortunately, he didn't play this last season in 2020. He opted out. But he did win the Biletnikoff Award as the nation's top receiver in 2019. He finished that season with 84 catches, 1,780 yards, and 20 touchdowns. And also a big fat ring on his finger because he was on the team with Joe Burrow and the aforementioned Justin Jefferson. He's kind of the prototypical receiver. He's a deep threat. He's a physical catcher of the ball. He can beat you with routes. 6 foot, 210 pounds, and projected to run a sub 4.4. I think the guy coming out that we really got to keep an eye on is Jamar Chase. There's a couple other guys, Jalen Waddle too, but I my guy for next season to have a big breakout as a rookie, it would probably be Jamar Chase.
All right, Jay, real quick, buy or sell?
I'm going with I'm buying, and I'm a really big fan of this guy, not only for what he did in the national championship game, where he shredded Clemson in like a half, but Devontae Smith, Heisman winner, first wide receiver to do so since Desmond Howard in 1991. He's unbelievable, and I think the thing that makes him so great, and I think that's going to translate, is number one, his route running ability. It's fantastic. He's one of the best route runners coming out of college. I'd argue the best. Maybe Jamar Chase is right there with him. What I really liked was his ability to read defenses after the snap. That's something that Travis Kelce has really gotten really great at. Something that as a wide receiver, you need to have a good feel for, being able to decipher how the defenses are playing you, whether that's man, whether that's zone, and then knowing how to get open to beat those different coverages. Obviously, one of the biggest things that people talk about for him is his size. He's not coming from a D2 school. He's played in the SEC. So last time I checked, there's a lot of defensive players from the SEC that get drafted to the NFL. So I don't think his size is really going to play a huge factor. And I think he's a guy I'm looking at like Philadelphia at number 6. I know they just took Jalen Reagor, but you get a do-over to get an explosive guy like Devontae Smith at 6. I think Jamar Chase might be gone by then, which is why I don't have him there. New England at 15, who hasn't drafted a wide receiver worth anything in I don't even know how long. So I think that Devontae Smith is a guy that can come in and be a real factor for fantasy leagues next year.
Yeah, I mean, I would maybe be a little trepidatious on New England just because they drafted N'Keal Harry last year, and I mean, I don't necessarily blame Harry for having a poor rookie season, being Cam not being the best passer for his for his needs, but I could see the Patriots maybe trying to choose someone that would rectify the bad choice of Harry, or just completely staying away from like the bad luck. But Mr. Scheming Belichick over there is always up to something.
I just don't think Harry's that good. I mean,
Nah.
really, there was no separation. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Cam was literally throwing like a shot put in the ball because he couldn't throw. But I mean, N'Keal Harry's. I mean,
I don't even know if you draft N'Keal Harry this year. I would not.
Who's their quarterback? I mean, I don't even know who's throwing him the ball.
I'm not touching any New England.
Yeah, Jared.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think like that team was offensive fireworks for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so we're gonna last segment of our buy or sell is last year we lost Saquon Barkley. We had a semi-injured Ezekiel, but mostly underperforming Elliott. We lost Christian McCaffrey. Some leagues might have even also drafted like Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson with the number 1 pick, which I wouldn't do. But I mean, keeping this in mind, everybody, the number 1 fantasy point getter for QBs last year was Josh Allen, and he wasn't drafted in a lot of leagues. So is Alvin Kamara going to be the number 1 player off the board? He was the number 1. I believe he was the number 1 fantasy asset this year over all positions. Obviously, he doesn't rush the ball as much as maybe some other running backs that we talked about earlier. But I mean, he's got that dual threat madness. The only thing is, I wonder is maybe you'll talk about it in your buy or sell if Drew Brees comes back or not. So, Andrew, buy or sell Alvin Kamara.
I think. Even if Drew Brees doesn't come back, I still think you'd have to buy Alvin Kamara because I mean, the guy you mentioned like Christian McCaffrey, he's one of those guys who can do it regardless of who's under center. He's catching out of the backfield, which are easy passes for, easy completions for quarterbacks who are new to the system or aren't as good as like a generational guy like Drew Brees. The guy's only missed 4 games in his career, so durability is not really much of an issue for me, but never say never in the NFL. And the thing that I love the most is he got 107 targets out of the backfield. That's more than most starting wide receivers will get in the NFL. And to get that kind of that many looks coming out of the backfield, especially if you're playing in PPR leagues, I think you cannot pass him up if you have the first overall pick. By the way, just real fast, the guy who took Patrick Mahomes and number 1 overall in my fantasy league last year finished like 2-12 and finished, and not anything, Patrick Mahomes played well and everything, but he just missed out on a lot of guys. So, but I'm buying Alvin Kamara. If I have the first overall pick, he'll probably be the guy I take. I know there's a case to be made for other guys, but that receiving production out of the backfield just jumps off the screen.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts, Jay? Buy or sell?
I'm going to differentiate here, and we are going to sell on Alvin Kamara being the number one pick. For me personally, especially when I'm looking at season long, the conversion percentage for a handoff as opposed to a pass is way higher. It's almost like 100%. I mean, if you really think about it, you're going to need the quarterback to like fall or drop the ball on the exchange in order for it to not happen. You did mention he had 107 targets last year, which is good for about 7 a game. He also only had 187 carries in 15 games, which is only about 12 a game. Personally, I'd rather have McCaffrey. I'd rather have Barkley. I'd rather have Dalvin Cook. When you look at their production over the last few years, Derrick Henry last year had 378 carries, almost 200 more than Alvin Kamara. Christian McCaffrey in 2019, which was his last full year, had 287 carries and 142 targets. So over 35 more targets. And he had over 180 more carries at that time. Last year, Dalvin Cook had 312 carries and 54 targets, and that was only in 14 games. Again, I think he's a running back one for sure, especially in PPR leagues. You can make the case to pick him over any of those guys. But when you look at how much easier it is to convert a handoff, when I look at the more – and let's not mention Sean Payton drives me crazy. Taysom Hill will score 6 touchdowns a season. Latavius Murray will vulture touchdowns from Alvin Kamara. And I don't think that, all of his production was based on this, but he did have a 6-touchdown game last year, which highly inflated his numbers, in my opinion. It wasn't the end-all, be-all for him. He was still the running back one from what I remember. But, I would much rather personally have Saquon, McCaffrey, or Cook. And for my own personal bias, and this is a guy who you may be able to get on the cheap a little bit if he slides, Ezekiel Elliott. He's still a workhorse guy. He was still seeing a ton of touches. He was getting more targets out of the backfield, especially when Dak was in the lineup last year. So as much as I like Alvin Kamara, I think there's some guys that would definitely be warranted for the number one overall pick above him.
Yeah, it's easy to say, number one guy last year is going to be the number one guy this year. As you said, Zeke, even his offensive line had lots of injuries last year. McCaffrey was injured. Saquon was out. So, yeah, I definitely love a little chaos. So I would probably go with I would probably sell Alvin Kamara. I just don't know if he's going to be able to put up, number one consistency for 2 years in a row. He's gonna be up there though, just because he's a beast. And I kind of can't stand the grill that he wears, but I get it. Like it's a thing in the NFL now, and I just got to get over it. I'm older than all of these players now, and I'm just like, crap.
Two thumbs up on the grill.
I know, but hey, that's just my opinion, and I'm allowed to have it.
Yeah.
That's why they're here to watch, Asa. That's why they're here.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that's gonna just about do it for us. We are glad you joined us for this hour of sports talk. If we hope that you enjoy the content. Again, like and subscribe. Share some comments when this is live on YouTube. We would love to chat with you guys about what you guys think of what we said today. And I'm going to leave you with another rhyme time just off the top of the noggin here, and I'll let these two guys say goodbye. But if you had a long work day, come and sit down with AJA. All right, so,
like it.
all right, guys. Well, we are out of here. Have a good rest of your night, everybody. Signing off.
See you later, guys.
Thank you, guys.